Hello and welcome to the first of a series of Bounce Factory 2 Quick Start videos. In this video, I'm going to show you how to take a snapshot using the Bounce Factory app, which is the standalone window. It's pretty simple. What I usually do is make a timeline selection before I start, but you can do this later on. So let's say I need to bounce this part of the timeline. I will click Take Snapshot. It will get some information about the session to pre-populate the Bounce Factory snapshot dialog, and then you're ready to go. A lot of this up here is very similar to the Pro Tools bounce dialog. Right here is your file name that you actually want to bounce. Call this main mix as if we just got the mix approved. We have file type, mix source. Then you have the audio options, which should be familiar to everybody. You can bounce online or offline. Then you can import after bounce. You can bounce to a session folder or directory, just like in Pro Tools. And then if you are importing the file, you can import to the clip list, but you can also import to a new track. You can import to an existing track, which will make a playlist and then spot the mix onto the track, or you can import into an existing folder. And if you're importing to a new track or an existing folder, it will automatically make the tracks inactive so they don't get added to your next bounce. Down here is the crux of what snapshots are. Right now, we've set up to bounce one mix pass, which is the main mix. So this will bounce exactly as we leave the session and click continue to save it into the app. But the whole point of Bounce Factory is I want to be able to print multiple mix passes at once, and I want to set them up quickly. I don't want to go through this process for every single mix pass. That's almost as painful as sitting there and having to bounce them yourself. Let's say that I'm bouncing a standard set of mix passes. Then let's go down here and I'm going to find my vocal tracks. I happen to use VCAs. You don't need to. You could be soloing and muting audio tracks or folders or anything else that you want to do in your session. I happen to use VCAs. So I'm going to select my lead vocal and background vocal VCAs. I want to make an instrumental mix. And to do that, I'm going to mute both of these VCAs. So they're selected. I say add a selected track mute pass. And that is going to be our instrumental mix. Then I want to solo them up and make an acapella mix. So I'm just going to leave them selected and I'm going to make an acapella mix. Done. Now I've got three mix passes in here. One will be the main mix as the session is set up when I click continue. One will mute these two VCAs to give me my instrumental mix, and one will solo those two tracks, which will give me my acapella mix. That's great. Now, what if I need to print some stems? Let's say I need to print stems of these background vocals, and I want every single one of them soloed individually. I could select each one of these tracks, add a solo pass. Next one, add a solo pass. But that would be boring, wouldn't it? So I've got add batch, and a batch is basically stems. It adds a mix pass for each selected track soloed individually, which is exactly what we want. You have a core name for each stem, and I'm just going to call this best mix ever. And then you have a separator just so that it's easy to read the name. Right now I've got space dash space, but let's say you want to use an underscore. And then I've got the word stem, and then you'll see here in the example name, this is the name of the stem for the first track that is selected. All of the other tracks will follow this exact format, but it'll swap in the name of the track. I say add, and there you go. I've just added 8 mix passes, and if I wasn't talking so much, that would have taken seconds. We'll come back and talk about some of the more advanced mix passes and also saving templates of the mix passes you use often in another video. Okay, we have all of our mix passes here, and just to make things simple for later, I'm going to turn off exporting. We're just going to bounce these mixes, not export a copy. I'm going to click continue. It's going to ask me for a name to save these into the app. I'm going to call it main mixes, and it will quickly gather all of the information about the session, and here we are. So I've got my list grouped so I can see that I've got a session called Best Song Ever and it's got one snapshot. I can look at it and we've got the Best Song Ever main mixes, which is the name I gave it when we saved it into the app. And inside of that there are 11 mix passes, and I can go here and see all of the mix passes here. So if I said bounce all right now, it would go ahead and it would bounce all of the mixes that I set up in the snapshot.